Hey everyone, and welcome to your Java tutorial on while loops. As you can see, I have Visual Studio pulled up here and our Hello World instruction ready to go. I'm going to delete this and let's begin with a quick definition of what a loop is. So a loop is a sequence of instructions that runs until a specific condition is met, right? So a sequence of instructions that runs until a specific condition is met. And so there are a few different types of loops in Java. We'll be discussing the while loop, the do while loop, and a for loop. Right now, though, let's take a look at the syntax for a while loop. So a while loop starts with the while keyword, and then we need the condition that is going to be met to exit the while loop. So for that condition, similar to an if statement, we put it between two parentheses like this. So between those two parentheses, this is where our condition goes. Also, one thing that needs to be mentioned about this condition is that the condition returns a Boolean value, right? So likely the condition is a Boolean expression. And as long as that Boolean expression returns true, the while loop will keep running. Once that Boolean expression returns false, the while loop will exit. So we have our condition here. We need to now write our instructions. So our instructions are going to go inside the scope of the while loop. And we can create a scope for the while loop by using these two curly braces. So this is also similar to how you'd write an if statement. So inside of these two curly braces is where the instructions go for our while loop. So what I'd like to do is create a quick program that will run we'll have a number that'll keep incrementing until it hits our target number. And every time it increments, or every time it goes up by 1, I'll print it out inside of our while loop. So we'll create our first number, our first integer, and we will call this our target number. And we'll set our target number equal to 100. So we're also going to create a counter here. We're going to set that counter equal to 0. So the idea will be that we will increment our counter, or we'll add 1 to our counter over and over and over again until our counter reaches 100. So now remember, we have to put in our condition here, right? So our condition is going to be while our counter is equal to 100, is not equal to 100, we're going to keep running our while loop. We're going to keep running our instructions, right? So as soon as our counter is equal to 100, this while loop will exit. So let us print out our counter. So we'll do a system.out.println for integers. And we'll print out our counter. And then we will set our counter, we'll add 1 to our counter. So this is the plus equals operator. And so what this does is it adds 1 onto whatever variable you use it on, or it adds this number onto whatever variable you use it on. So this line basically will add 1 to our counter, and it'll keep going. It'll keep adding 1 every time we run through this while loop. And remember, we're going to run through this while loop until our counter equals 100. So while our counter is not equal to 100, these instructions will run. Okay, so let's run this. And what we should see is every time we go through the loop, we should print out our counters value to our console down here. So let's run it. Yeah, okay, awesome. And so you see here that we've ran it all the way up to 99. So what happens here is that we incremented the counter after we already printed out our number. So we incremented the counter and then it checked. So let's go back up to our first one. So here it's 0, right? So we start off and our counter is equal to 0. We enter into our while loop, right? So we check our condition and it is 0 equal to 100. No, 0 is not equal to 100. So this is true. And we enter our while loop. We print out our number, which is here. And then we increment our counter by 1. We end the loop here and we go back and we check, is 1 equal to 100? It's not. So we print out our number, which is 1 down here, and then we increment it again. We increment it up to 2, and then we come to the end of our scope, so we check our condition again. Is 2 now equal to 100? It's not, so this is true, and we print it out again, and it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going until we print out 99 here. We increment this to 100, and then we check our condition. Is 100 equal to 100? Yes, it is. So this evaluates now to false, and we exit our while loop. So if I was to switch this this printout, we did it here. Let's run this again. And now you can see it printed 100 because instead of starting from 0, we should be starting at 1 now. Yes. So we're starting at 1. So it increments it, then prints out the number, and then checks. Is 1 equal to 100? No, it's not. So this is true. And then we keep looping. So this is our basic while loop structure. Next, let's talk about our do-while loop. Very similar to a while loop. The thing is with a while loop is that a while loop will always check the condition before it executes the loop, the instructions. It'll check the condition before it executes the instructions even one time. A do-while loop will execute the instructions at least once before checking the condition. So I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to create a do-while loop. So do-while loop looks similar to a while loop, except we have our do keyword, and then we have our instructions here, and then the while comes at the bottom, and this is where we put our condition. We end it with a semicolon. Cool. So I've commented this out here, but let's comment it back in. Let's comment it back in, and we can copy these instructions, paste them down here, and we can take our condition and paste it in down here. And I'm going to comment this while loop out so we don't run the number tally twice. So I'm going to clear this. Cool. So let's run it, and we should see a result that is, yeah, it's the same. So you can see here, it's the same as our previous while loop. The only difference here is a do while loop will execute this body here. Everything in that scope, it'll execute it at least once. A while loop may not execute the body of it. It may not execute the instructions if that condition is not true. If a do while loop's condition is not true, it'll still execute the instructions at least once. So that's the difference between a while loop and a do while loop. I hope you guys understand this pretty well. Thank you. a little bit. These while loops, though, they're very, very powerful. It really gives you the ability to just kind of repeat through instructions, and it gives you a lot of power for doing anything repetitive. So I hope you guys understand this pretty well. Thank you.